It's really valuable sometimes to just get the core of a story, right? Without wading through absolutely everything.
Yeah, definitely. Saves a ton of time.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing today. We're taking a really close look at a pretty interesting challenge faced by a major company.
A big player in home improvement.
Right, specifically with their advertising.
We are indeed. So the source we're looking at is Researching and Testing Advertising Strategies for Kitchen Home Improvement by CMR.
Okay.
And we're zooming in on a case study in that report, updated pretty recently, actually, April 15th, 2025.
Gotcha.
This specific case, the research was done by Provoke Insights,
Okay.
and it's all about a leading global quartz countertop company.
Global. Okay.
Yeah, and this is when they launched their very first major ad campaign here in the U.S.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. A global powerhouse, Quartz Countertops. They've had commercials work well in other places.
Mm.
You'd kind of think maybe tracking the U.S. market would be, well, relatively straightforward.
You would think so, yeah. But this deep dive, it shows it was a lot more nuanced than that.
So our goal today is really to get under the hood, understand why their initial ads needed, well, some pretty big adjustments just for American consumers.
Precisely. We'll be digging into, what the company hoped to achieve first off.
Right.
What the research actually found about the American consumer's mindset. And, what does this tell us about maybe the surprising complexities of moving into a new market?
Even with a proven product.
Exactly. Even when you think you've got it figured out. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Success somewhere else doesn't just, automatically translate.
Yeah, definitely not a guarantee. So, okay, setting the scene then. This company,
Yeah.
the study calls them a foremost global provider of quartz countertops.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't new to this. They had ads, commercials that worked in other countries.
That's a really key point. They weren't starting from scratch. They had experience, probably a fair bit of confidence. And they launched this focused campaign. Just 6 weeks. TV commercials and digital stuff here in the U.S.
6 weeks. Okay, so pretty concise.
Yeah, not some vague long-term plan. It was like a concrete push. Let's make an impact now.
And they didn't just, throw it out there and hope for the best. They brought in Provoke Insights, which sounds like a smart move.
Definitely, to really get a handle on the landscape.
And the study lays out 6 specific research goals they had. Should we walk through those?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, first, evaluate how the ads influenced brand awareness. Makes sense. Are people even noticing us, remembering the name?
Absolutely, that's fundamental. Your ad can be amazing, but if nobody connects it to your brand, well, it's not doing its job.
Totally.
Their second goal was looking at the link between how much they were spending on media and the awareness they were getting.
Ah, the ROI question.
Basically, yeah. Were they getting bang for their buck, hitting the right people for the budget?
Were those ad dollars actually turning into recognition?
Okay. Third objective, looked at competitors.
Comparing their brand awareness against others already in the U.S. market, you need that context.
Context is everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Who are you up against? How well known are they? What do people think of them? You need that to figure out where you fit.
Or where you want to fit.
Exactly.
And number 4, assessing the resonance of their unique selling proposition, their USP.
The secret sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes their quartz special? Was that message actually landing with people? Did they get it? Did they care?
Precisely. What's the edge? What need are they meeting that others aren't? If that core message is fuzzy or just not relevant,
The ads won't work.
they'll likely underperform, yeah.
Okay, the last 2 goals really dig into the customer's head. 5th was understanding the fundamental needs of the target audience. What are Americans really looking for when they shop for countertops?
Yeah, this goes beyond just, are they aware of us? Into motivation. What are the pain points? The desires? The practical stuff? Even the emotional side of picking a countertop.
What problem are they actually trying to solve? And finally, number 6. Examining the entire consumer decision process. How do people even choose this stuff?
Right. What steps do they go through? Who influences them when?
That whole journey.
Understanding that journey from, maybe new countertops, right up to the purchase. That's gold. Tells you where and how to reach them.
Are they starting online? Showrooms? Talking to contractors first?
Yeah, each step is a chance to connect.
Okay, so 6 really thorough areas. And to tackle this, Provoke Insights used what the study calls a multifaceted approach. 3 phases.
Yeah, sounds about right for this kind of challenge. First up was focus groups.
Ah, okay. Getting people in a room.
Exactly. They did these in New York, Chicago, and Miami, big metro areas.
Makes sense.
And they specifically got people who were, and I quote, actively looking to upgrade their kitchen or bathroom countertops.
Oh, smart. So people actually in the market right now.
Right. Not just random folks. You want insights from people thinking about this stuff.
So what were they looking for in these groups? Initial reactions to the ads.
Yeah, that. And also how these people make decisions, what brands they already knew, including the company we're talking about, and their competitors.
Getting a baseline.
And, focus groups are great for digging deeper. You can ask why, get the nuances, what really influences choices, what about price, who are the key influencers, designers, contractors, friends, online reviews.
That qualitative stuff you can't easily get from a big survey.
Exactly. It adds that rich, deep understanding.
Okay, so after the focus groups, what was next? More quantitative stuff.
Yep. Pre- and post-advertising testing.
Yeah.
Basically, surveys.
Okay.
They did one survey before the 6-week campaign started airing on TV,
Right.
and then another one after it finished.
To see what changed.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The main goal was measuring exposure. Had people seen their ads, their commercials, the digital stuff?
Okay.
And, crucially, had they seen ads from competitors too? You need to know if your message is cutting through the noise. Are you standing out at all?
Okay, so they did their homework, focus groups, surveys before and after. Based on their success elsewhere, they must have been feeling pretty optimistic, right? Expecting good results here.
That's the logical assumption. And the study does note the company saw the promising impact of its current campaigns beyond the United States. So yeah, the hope was definitely there for similar success stateside.
And you can feel the but coming.
Huh. Yeah, there's always a but in these stories, isn't there?
It seems like it. That's not what the research showed.
No. The big finding, the sort of punchline, was that adjustments were required to resonate effectively with the U.S. market.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty direct.
Especially after all that work.
It really is. And it just highlights that core marketing truth. What works great in one place doesn't automatically fly somewhere else, even for the same exact product.
So why? What was different about the U.S. market?
The study points to a key thing. The U.S. market is saturated, especially with established options like marble and granite products where consumer awareness is lacking for maybe newer alternatives like quartz. Okay, hold on. Saturated means lots of competition, obviously.
Right.
But the marble and granite point is interesting. Maybe in their other markets, quartz felt newer, more exciting. Here, people already have strong ideas about natural stone.
That seems to be the implication.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the study goes on to say this saturation, plus maybe lower general awareness about quartz as a material, it led to brand confusion.
Confusion? How so?
Well, amidst all the intense competition, their message maybe wasn't distinct enough. It got lost. Consumers weren't clearly seeing why quartz was different, or maybe they just defaulted to what they already knew, the marble, the granite. Their message, which maybe worked fine in a less crowded market.
Got drowned out here.
Pretty much.
So the big takeaway, successful product, global company, invested in ads and research, but realized they weren't quite hitting the mark in the U.S.
Correct.
And because they did the research, they found this out before potentially wasting more money.
Exactly. And based on those research insights, they made a pretty big strategic call.
Which was
to revamp its communication strategy, specifically tailored for the U.S. market.
not just tweak it, revamped it.
Yeah. It sounds like a fundamental rethink of how they talked about their product to Americans.
Okay, which brings us right back to why we're digging into this. For you listening, you want these quick insights into market dynamics, what makes advertising tick or not tick. And this case study, even though it's about countertops, it has these really broad lessons, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I think what's really insightful here for anyone interested in how markets work is seeing clearly that even a product with seemingly universal appeal,
Like a countertop.
right, it can hit totally different realities in different places. That assumption that global strategy equals local strategy, it can be a really expensive mistake.
Yeah, it really hammers home how vital it is to understand the specifics, the needs, the awareness levels, even the ingrained biases of your audience in that specific place.
You just can't assume what works in one culture or one competitive landscape won't necessarily have the same punch somewhere else.
And that's where the research piece is just so critical.
It really is. This company, they made that smart investment up front, understanding the U.S. consumer before just pushing ahead with what worked elsewhere.
And that investment paid off by showing them they needed to change course.
Exactly. Without those focus groups, those surveys, They might have kept pouring money into a strategy that just wasn't connecting. That's wasted budget, wasted time.
So yeah, our deep dive here really shows that targeted market research is, well, indispensable, especially when adapting ads for different regions.
Even for something seemingly straightforward like kitchen countertops.
Right. The U.S. market, with its saturation and existing ideas about materials like marble and granite, it just needed a more tailored approach.
Which leads to kind of a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on.
Okay.
Thinking about this case, what other products or services, things that seem universal, do you think might face unexpected problems when they try to enter a new market?
That's a good question. Like, what seems simple but might have hidden cultural or competitive hurdles?
Exactly. And what kind of specific research could help companies spot those risks before they invest heavily in a strategy that might be misaligned?
It really makes you think about all the layers involved in global business.
It does. It's more complex than it looks on the surface.
Definitely. It's a great reminder that being informed isn't just about the product, it's about deeply understanding the people you're trying to reach.
Well said.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. Hope it gave you some valuable stuff to think about.